I was going through some old files and I was looking at proposals that I had written, documents that I had created some years ago. And I was thinking about how those deals panned out. Some of them were formal proposals to engage my firm, some of them were ways to enhance relationships that already existed. But in each case, I was able to look at it from a distance, several years later, 4 or 5 years later, and get a perspective on how things panned out. And as I was going through some of the documents, I was amazed because I realized that there were things going on in life and in business around a time, and now I could see, upon reflection, how that impacted those discussions. Now, at the time, I might not have realized it because I'm so engaged in it, I'm trying to pull it through. Now, a couple of things I noticed. Number one, as I went through these documents, I could remember the feeling, the intensity of trying to pull together certain deals. Now, sometimes you have to really push forward to get something to happen. And you just have to say, okay, I'm going to do everything I can to close this deal because we need to get this done. But when you get to a place in your business or practice or whatever you do where that's the norm, you're operating with a level of stress that is going to be counterproductive. So one of the best things you can do when you are faced with a deal that won't close, a prospect that won't seem to come together, something that just you can't seem to make it happen, is to step away from it. It's to detach from it. If you have someone else that you're working with, it's to have them make a go at it. Call the prospect, but it's to step away from it, because what you'll find is you will go through a period where that level of stress and anxiety of wanting to close a particular deal will be counterproductive, and everything will be slowed down. That's what I discovered when I was looking back at some of these documents. There was about a 3-month period where things were happening, as I say, in life and business. There were family passings. There were stress in other areas. There were things that were taking place that were transitional. There were all sorts of things happening at one time, and I was putting that all into the energy associated with building my business and working with clients. And what I found is I would bring that to the discussions and not realize it, and that's why there were so many bottlenecks, and that's why I couldn't seem to get certain things done. Ultimately, what happened is I remember discussing with another a business colleague of mine, and he actually was very helpful in engineering a resolution to a deal, in kind of stepping in and taking the weight off, and it was something that we didn't realize that we were doing at the time, but his conversations made it all easier, and as a result, that opened up a door, and then everything else seemed to get better as a result of that. So if you're at like a bottleneck, if you're at a period where it just seems like things are not coming together and things are not working, there are two things I'd recommend. One is step away from it. Number two would be to see if you can engage someone else in the process. And maybe one other thing, and that is to look at something that is working, something that is going well in the business or in your territory, and focus on that. A great client, a great situation, just savor that. Really work on that. Enjoy that. Engage in that more. That's another thing that was also very helpful to me. As I look back at this process, which was 4 or 5 years ago, we had this couple of months that were really challenging. The other thing I noticed is there were a couple of things I did that were really pivotal, very productive, great creative work, great initiatives, and those were buried into that period. And I think what happened there was I was able to, I guess, submerge myself in that issue, and that took away the tension that was happening on these other deals that I was trying to pull together. If you like this tip, give me a thumbs up. Let me know you liked it. Share it with someone in your network. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel, and I look forward to seeing you next time.